Alright, as promised, we're going to go through how we make our flannel board pieces for our flannel boards. If you missed the video on how to make your own flannel board, we will put the link above and also below. Some things that you're going to need for these flannel board projects. If you feel comfortable enough cutting your pieces out of felt, you will need felt. This is just regular felt. This actually came off of a bolt. You can buy the ones at craft stores that are the rectangles and cut smaller pieces out of it. Or you can use the method that I prefer to use, and that is actually using facing that you would use for sewing clothing. This here is a lighter weight one than what I would normally use. I couldn't find my heavier one at the time, so I just ordered another one. But I have since found the heavier one, and this is actually a medium weight. And it's just a little bit thicker, a little less see-through. Let me see if I can get that. There is a rougher side and a smoother side. I do use the smoother side to put the designs on. Alright, but we're going to use the lighter side today. You will need a template. This template actually comes from our 5 Speckled Frogs flannel board. You will find the template if you're doing the online summer reading program. You can find it in Read Squared, or you can visit our website as well and print it off there. If you're doing the paper program in your activity bag, that should be in there as well. This is more geared towards ages birth to 5. So if you're in that, if your child is in that age group, that's where you'll find this packet. But again, if you're wanting it, you can find it online. We'll need paint. This is just paint that I bought at Walmart. I think it's like $1 for this bigger bottle, 50 cents for the smaller bottles. I use quite a bit of it, or have used quite a bit of it, so I buy the bigger bottles usually. You will need a thin marker for this project to do your tracing with. If you're doing a bigger one, you could get away with using a bigger Sharpie or a bigger marker. I just prefer to use the thinner one. I can see my lines a little bit better. You will need scissors. Let's see if I can get them. So we'll need scissors. We'll put those there because we'll need those here in a minute. And where'd they go? You will need a paintbrush. This is a pretty thin one. Don't need a very thick one. Not going to lay on a lot of paint. It doesn't usually take a lot of paint to do these. So we'll pull that back out here in a minute. So we're just, oh, and another thing you'll need, before I forget, is you will need wax paper. As you can see, these have already been used. You just lay your design on top of it and then paint on top of the design and with this underneath. As you can see, the paint bleeds through, and so this keeps it from going through to your table or countertop or whatever else you might be using. And then once it's dry, it just peels off of there real easy. It doesn't stay permanent or anything like that. It just peels off real easy, which I'll show you that here in a little bit. So, and you'll have to bear with me, I am left-handed. So if I get in the way of the design, that is why. But I'll try not to. Another way you could do these flannel boards as well is if you don't feel like painting or cutting or anything like that, you can, or a whole lot of cutting, you can color these, which is regular crayons, markers, colored pencils, whatever you prefer, and then cut them out and use Velcro for the back. I would use the more softer side of the Velcro, not so much the hook and loop part of it. It might start to peel away at your flannel board, but we'll, like I said, I would use that softer side. You could try the other side. It may not hurt as much as I think it would. So to do this, you're just going to trace your design. Just lay your interfacing on top of your design. And then, like I said, I will try to stay out of the way as much as I can so you can see. But you're just going to trace. Actually, let me go to the other side. That might be better. You're just going to trace the template. And once you've got the template traced, and you start painting, if you notice that you cannot see the lines after you've got it painted and it dries, you can always go back over those lines. But I don't usually have to. I'll show you one of the finished ones that I have. And you can see that it really doesn't, the paint doesn't take away from the marker that you've laid down. I'm not going in any order here. Just wherever I see that I've got some markings that I need to trace. And you can put the spots in, you don't have to. Get his little webbings. It's a little bit tricky sometimes, especially after you've got a design drawn on there and you go, what was that? Sometimes it's a little tricky to see what was going on. You have to go back and look at your template. These are a little time consuming, but they seem to last for a long time. They're pretty durable. I started doing these this way probably 8 years ago, and we have pieces that are used for our bulletin boards. They've been to preschools, they've been through story time, so they last. All right, and as you can see, even the ink from the marker went through. You can see where I've traced several different frogs, and they're a little bit darker. But this is what you end up with at the very end. All right, so let's loosen down some wax paper. Where's my wax paper? Make sure that that is good. Having problems with the camera today, for whatever reason. And then we'll just bring out our water and our paint. And this is really easy, actually. It doesn't take much paint to paint on these. As you can see, I've barely loaded up that brush. And if you want to do the smaller stuff in between first, like there is speckles, so if you want to do the speckles first, you can do those. And there was a little bit of water still on my brush, so it just definitely went through that pillow. And like I said, I mean, as you can see, it doesn't take much to paint these. I would recommend that you let these dry overnight or for a few hours before you cut them and give them to your child. Just so that way they ensure the paint is dry, they don't get paint all over themselves. The paint is non-toxic, but just so it doesn't get on the furniture or clothing or places where you don't want it, I would let these dry before you let your child have them. Alright, so that's as easy as that is. And you can see where the wet paint is sticking to the wax paper. And this is one that I started, and let's see if I can get this to focus in here. There we go. Let's see here if you can see where it was starting to stick. See there how it's stuck to the wax paper, and just a gentle tug pulls that off of there. It's not permanent. Once you're done and you've cut it out, you will have something similar to this frog. Alright, and then he can go on the flannel board. He doesn't really come off. A little bit of force, he came off, but he pretty much sticks. Alright, thank you for watching and look for our next video.